Hey guys, SliceablePaper here, and we're going to take a look at the next group of cards that was released for the Knights of the Frozen Throne card set. Now the first card we're going to take a look at is the new Death Knight, Frost Lich Jaina. This is the new Mage Death Knight. As usual with Death Knights, you're going to play this and you'll get that extra 5 armor. This one's Battle Cry summons a 3/6 Water Elemental, and your elementals will have lifesteal the whole rest of the game. The hero power is called Icy Touch. It's going to deal 1 mana to, or 1 damage. If it kills a minion, it's going to summon another Water Elemental. Water Elemental being the best 4-drop in the game, a 3/6 that freezes any character damage by it. This Death Knight is an excellent new addition to the game. It's going to give Mage some better late game rather than being a freeze mage and just kind of blasting your enemy down with frost bolts and fireballs. This is going to kind of basically outlast them, get much better value than your opponent, and just kind of simply sit there sucking health from them, and you laugh at them while they die. This card is going to be a very good fit in elemental decks. I think it's going to be an okay fit in any other deck, and this is going to be a great arena card. I would pick this over most any other legendaries just because of the good value you get out of this card. Okay, Doomed Apprentice, 3 mana mage card. Your opponent's spells cost 1 more. I think this card is a little understated for a 3-drop. It's going to trade, or a lot of 2-drops are going to be able to trade up with this card. It's going to counter spell-heavy decks, throw their curve out of whack, going to counter like Miracle Rogue and even Freeze Mage to a degree. I don't think this is a great arena card just because it's understated, and I think the trade-off for the ability is not worth it. Mainly because you're not going to see many spells unless you're up against a mage or, again, a rogue. And even then, you're not going to see as many spells as you would in Constructed. Alright, neutral legendary, Prince Valinar. This is another one of those Prince cards. This is going to be one where you need no 4-cost cards in your deck. I think this is going to be a better fit in any decks than the previous cards, or than the previous Princes. Mainly because it's a little easier for you to not have any 4-drops in your deck than it is to have no 3-drops or no 2-drops. I feel this card might be a little understated as a 4-drop just in the health department. I think you're going to need to get value to be able to play this, but it's a value that you can plan around and build around. Once you get that lifesteal and taunt, this is a very, very powerful 4-drop. I don't know how this is going to fit in Constructed. Basically, you're going to need to be able to plan around it. And there are a few decks that kind of need 4-drops in them, just as a way to kind of curve out a little better. I think you'll see this in, legendary type decks. I think you'll see this in some kind of one-off type decks. I think it's going to be a very decent card in Arena. Again, it's not a very powerful stats for 4-drop, but it's decent stats. I think this is going to be very good if he pops up like late in your draft and you've had no 4-drops in it. Going to be a very, very good, very great card then. Otherwise, it's just a 4-mana 4/4. Alright, new Druid card, Spreading Plague. Summon a 1/5 Scarab with Taunt. If your opponent has more minions, cast this again. This is Unleash the Hounds for Druids. Summons a number of minions based upon the amount of minions that are on your opponent's board. For 2 mana more, you get an additional 4 stats worth of health along with Taunt. So you get a little better value than the Hounds, even though the Hounds have charge. This is a very good anti-aggro card. You'll play this against aggro decks like, Pirate Warrior or Hunter decks like that. I think this might be an interesting fit in Token Druid as well, but it relies so much on your opponent having a board, much like Unleash the Hounds, that kind of need to be playing from behind for this card to get good effect. So I don't know how well it's going to fit in a token druid druid deck, unless you're facing another aggro deck and you need a little extra push in your own deck. I think you'll want to draft this card in Arena only if your deck has very good power level. If you're drafting very good value cards, or if you've got a decent, early game, a lot of 2s and 3 drops, you'll be able to draft this. But other than that, I don't know if you want to draft this card. You're going to be able to get better cards than that. Again, the big weakness of this card is that your opponent needs to have a board in order for you to get value out of this. Good value out of this, I think you'll want to get at least 2, maybe 3 scarabs to spawn. But I think on average you'll be able to get that. The more you summon, the more value you get, because you're basically getting, at first you get 6 mana worth of stats, then 12 mana, then 18, then up from there. So I think this is a decent card. Not great, not terrible. Going to be able to fit in some druid decks. Okay, Eternal Servitude. It's a 4-mana priest spell. It's a rare. Discover a friendly minion that died this game. Summon it. This reminds me a lot of the old priest card, Resurrect. It was a 2-mana card that randomly summoned a minion that died this game. So for 2 mana more, you're basically getting that Discover mechanic. I think this is going to be an interesting card. It's going to be a good fit in Control Priest and Quest Priest. I don't know exactly how you're going to fit it into those kind of decks, mainly because that 4-drop spot, it kind of competes with the Tortollan and Priest of the Feast for that good solid 4-drop card. You're going to want this card to hit on at least a 3-drop to get value on it, maybe even more. I think this is going to be a very good card for Arena. You get good value out of that, especially if it hits on like a bigger minion. And as Priest, you're going to kind of naturally have more of those bigger minions. And in Arena, this card is probably going to hit on like a 3-drop or a 2-drop. So you want to get at least 3-drop value out of it. Dead Man's Hand. 2-mana epic spell for warriors. Shuffle a copy of your hand into your deck. This card you want to keep in your opening hand. Can be played in really any version of warrior if you kind of need that. Although I don't know exactly how well it'll fit, but some people may actually find a way to fit this in. Gives you a little extra cards, good in fatigue, maybe fatigue warrior, where having those extra cards in your deck is kind of the difference between victory and defeat, where you fatigue your opponent first. I don't think this card is going to be very good in Arena. Especially if you top deck this card, because if you top deck it, it's basically dead in your hand. Snowflipper Penguin. It's a wisp, but it's a beast, so it's better than a wisp. Maybe Beast Hunter? I don't think so. Murabi. 6-mana Shaman Legendary. When another minion is frozen, add a copy of it to your hand. So again, we see more of this kind of free Shaman push. This card is very understated as a 6-drop, so in Arena, you're not going to want to pick it. Mainly because, again, it's a 4/4 for 6 mana, and you're not going to have a lot of those freeze effects. I think this is going to fit in kind of a combo-y based freeze thing where you want to kind of copy minions and throw them into your hand and bring it in. I think this is very odd kind of passive counter to Freeze Mage. Play this on a 6 mana curve, and they try to play, Blizzard, and then all of a sudden you've got a board, and then you've got all those minions back in your hand. So it's interesting counter to Freeze Mage. Thing to note about this card is that it's whenever another minion is frozen. It does not trigger when it freezes itself, and it does trigger on an opponent's minion as well. So if you see some kind of minion on their side that you want, you can freeze it, and then you'll get their minion. Like I said before, I don't think it's going to be a good arena card. It's too reliant on freeze, and it's too low statted for a 6-drop. Shadow Blade, Rogue Weapon, 3 mana, 3/2, Battle Cry. Hero is immune this turn. Not bad as a weapon. Combos very well with the previous expansions and Venom Weapon, and this Knights of the Frozen Thrones Leeching Poison. I think if weapons start to run the meta, I think when you play this card, you're going to watch out for oozes. The immune only lasts 1 turn, and it does make your character completely immune. So you're immune to fatigue damage, eye for an eyes, all that fun stuff. In Arena, this card is going to be very good. It's going to help rogues in late game to get rid of big enemy taunts, especially if you combo it with Envenom Weapon. You're low on health, you kind of need to do that extra damage with a sudden burst, or you need to do that extra 3 damage to a minion. This is going to be very good. It helps you get rid of those big bog creepers and the mastodons that your enemy is going to be plopping down. Good card. Defile. 2 mana Warlock spell. Deal 1 damage to all minions. It's an extra mana cost whirlwind. If any die, cast this card again. I think you want to get at least 2 casts off of this card to get good value out of it. Basically, you want to cast 2 whirlwinds, equal mana cost, kinda. This is going to require a little planning ahead to use. Say an enemy has like a 4 health minion, a 3 health minion, and 2 health minions. You'll need to find a way to kind of get that 2 health minion down to, or one of those 2 health minions down to 1 health. With like, a mortal coil, or if you have like a 1 damage minion on the board, like with your tentacles or something like that. Like I said, it's going to require a little planning to do it, but you're going to see some very interesting highlights and you got to do a little thinking. I love this card. It requires you to do more than just plop a card and watch the effect. The interesting thing to note, in Wild, Blizzard did say that Dreadsteed is going to be changed to read some. I think I saw it was going to be like something like Death Rattle. If this minion died this turn, summon it at the end of your turn. So it's not going to keep popping out, and you're not going to get infinite value from this card off of Dreadsteed. This card does trigger all minions, so it does trigger on your board as well. I think this is going to be a good card in Arena, but like I said, it's going to require a little planning to use. And I think we're going to see some great highlights from this card. Cryostasis. Shaman epic spell. Give a minion +3/+3 and freeze it. This targets enemy minions as well as your own. Let's say you need to kind of push for an extra turn of damage, but you're about to die yourself against like an enemy like Big Drop. You can, kind of freeze that enemy minion, buff it, but you don't really need the buff because you're going to win soon enough that that enemy isn't going to be able to swing at you. Or you can just kind of use it to stall. You can use it to freeze like one of your own taunt minions and buff it up, and wait a turn or 2 to be able to use it. It's going to be an interesting card to use. Works very well with Marabi, the legendary we just looked at. It's going to be an interesting card to use in Arena. Not a top-of-the-line card, but if for some reason you get other epics that aren't as good, you can draft this card, get a little use out of it. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I do want to note how freeze works. It kind of, if you target your own minion on your turn, the way freeze works is if a minion cannot take any other action, like if it's sitting there and it can't attack, and then you freeze it, it's going to remain frozen throughout your next turn. And if you can attack with a minion, but you don't and then you freeze it, it will become unfrozen at the end of the current turn. Now, I do want to say Crip had a very good video on how freeze works. He's able to explain it a little better than I am, so I'm going to link his video in the description of this video, and if you guys want to, you can go there and see how it works. So yeah, Cryostasis, interesting card, fun card. Looking forward to giving it a little try. Venom Strike Trap, new Hunter Trap. When one of your minions is attacked, summon a 2/3 poisonous cobra. This is very similar effect to Snake Trap, where it triggers on you getting attacked by an enemy. I don't know how good this card is going to be, mainly because for the same mana cost, you get basically one less attack in one minion and poisonous, versus Snake Trap where you get 3 separate minions. It is poisonous, so it's going to be a good fit against like big minions, but I don't think this card is going to be very good, mainly because it kind of is just one minion. It gives your opponent a way to kind of plan around it. If they like attack your minion first without using any of their mana, then they can simply remove the Cobra. I think this is going to be very slow for Aggro Hunter. I don't think it's going to be a bad fit in Arena, but I don't think it's going to be a top-of-the-line card. Howling Commander, 3 mana 2/2. Draw a Divine Shield minion from your deck. Pushing Divine Shield for Paladins. Understated for a 3-drop, going to trade down with 2-drops. Hell, even some 2-drops will trade and have 1 health left to trade with others. So, I think you only want this card for the Battle Cry effect, the draw card. If you're only running like 1 Divine Shield minion in your deck, I would recommend running like Tyrion or Wicker Flame. So this card may as well just kind of read Battle Cry, draw Tyrion. Other than that, this card is going to be absolutely worthless, I think, in Constructed. It's not a good Arena card. Too understated for a 3-drop. And it kind of relies on you to have Divine Shield. Relies upon you to have drafted Divine Shield minions. So I don't know about that. I don't know. It kind of relies on you to have drafted a lot of Divine Shield minions. And I don't think that's normally happening. Sanguine Reveler. 1 mana Warlock card. Destroy a frozen minion and gain +2/+2. I think this card is only going to be very good in Egg Eater. Or something where you kind of want to build around battle cries that spawn, or death rattles that spawn bigger minions. Other than that, you're going to be destroying useful minions and leaving yourself less of a board. In exchange for that, you get a 1 mana 3/3. Which, you know, by the time you have to play it, you'll have already played other minions, unless you play like a 0-drop like a Wisp or even that Snow Flipper Penguin. Which I don't think you do unless you're playing some kind of weird, like super low curve Zoo Warlock. So I don't know. I don't think this card is very good. It's a common. You'll see it a lot in Arena. But I don't think you'd want to draft it in Arena, mainly because you're killing a board for a 3/3. Animated Berserker. Last card we're going to take a look at. It's the Warrior Common, 1-drop. After you play a minion, deal 1 damage to this. Good stats for a 1-drop. Good activator for Berserkers. Are we going to see a rise for Enraged Warrior? I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure some people will try it out. And maybe it'll actually be pretty good. Unfortunately, self-harm, hasn't really been much of a thing, except in some kind of niche like one turn or two turn kill berserker decks. I don't think we've really seen a self-harming warrior since Patron Warrior a couple years ago. I think this is going to be a very good card in Arena. Solid one drop, good stats for a one drop. You get three or four stats for 1 mana. Just need to make sure you don't follow up with 1 health minions, and you should be good to go. Alright, thank you very much for sticking around for this video. I'm going to keep reviewing these cards, and like I said in my previous videos, this is kind of a way for me to think a little more critically about the cards that are coming out, get a good idea and a good feel as to where they're going to fit in and how exactly they'll be used. If you like this channel, you can like this video, you can subscribe, and I'll see you guys on my next one.